It was a regular Tuesday at the fitness center gym in São Miguel do Oeste. The 4 p.m. slot always brought in the younger crowd, the ones who came more to show off their muscles than to actually train. Gabriel, 22, was doing his bench press set, grunting loudly for attention. Beside him, Mateus and João posed in the mirror, admiring their own arms. The gym was as busy as ever. The loud thump of funk music echoed through the speakers, mixing with a metallic clatter of weights. It was an intimidating environment for any beginner, especially someone who didn't fit the expected mold. Then the door opened, and in walked Dona Helena, 68. She wore a simple gray tracksuit, white sneakers worn out by time, and carried a small sports bag. Her gray hair was pulled back in a low bun, and she walked with firm steps, though she wasn't particularly imposing physically. Gabriel was the first to notice. He nudged Mateus and whispered loud enough for others to hear, "Dude, check out who just showed up. Grandma must be lost, right?"
Di Saintino Senior Center.
Mateus let out a muffled laugh and added, "She's probably looking for the water aerobics class. Someone should tell her this is a real gym." Dona Helena heard the comments but kept walking towards the free weights area. She put her bag on the floor and began taking off her tracksuit, revealing a simple navy blue t-shirt. Her body, though small in stature, had a muscular build that went unnoticed under her loose clothes. João, who was doing bicep curls with 45-pound dumbbells, stopped to watch. "Guys, is she really going to train here?"
Be careful not to break anything, Antie.
The gym instructor, Tiago, 25, approached with an expression that mixed concern and condescension. "Excuse me, ma'am, but are you sure you're in the right place? We have a partnership with the senior gym next door. Maybe that would be more suitable for you." Dona Helena looked at him with a gentle smile.
No, son.
"This is exactly where I need to train."
I have a workout plan.
She pulled a folded paper from her bag and handed it to Tiago. He quickly glanced at it and frowned. The plan showed heavy exercises: free squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press. Weights starting at 130 pounds and going up to 265 pounds. "Look, ma'am, I think there's been some mistake. These weights here." Tiago pointed to the paper. "They're not suitable for you. I'll make you a new, lighter plan, with functional exercises, maybe some resistance bands."
No need, dear.
This plan is correct. Gabriel, who had stopped his workout to observe the situation, approached with his friends.
Coach Tiago, let the lady TRY.
It'll be funny to watch her try to lift an empty bar. At least it'll get some laughs. Mateus added, "Yeah, and when she can't do it, we'll help her get on the treadmill. Cardio is more of a senior thing anyway." Dona Helena took a deep breath. At 68, she was already used to this kind of reaction. Throughout her life, she had always been underestimated for her fragile appearance and, especially in recent years, for her age. People saw only an elderly woman and automatically assumed limitations. "Can I start with free squats?" she asked Tiago.
The instructor hesitated.
"Ma'am, let's start with simpler exercises. How about a leg press with light weight?"
I need the Smith machine for squats.
"It's on my plan."
Gabriel laughed loudly. Smith machine.
"Grandma wants to lift heavy."
Tiago, letter TRY.
"Worst case, we'll film it for Instagram." Reluctantly, Tiago accompanied Dona Helena to the Smith machine. The area had become the center of attention. Other gym-goers stopped their workouts to watch what they considered to be a comical spectacle about to unfold. "How much weight do you want to put on?" Tiago asked, clearly expecting her to ask for just the bar. 175 pounds for the warm-up. The entire gym seemed to fall silent for a moment.
Gabriel, Mateus, and João exchanged incredulous glance.
175 pounds. Gabriel repeated. "Auntie, I squat with 220 pounds, and I'm considered strong here at the gym." "Are you sure?"
"Yes, my son."
Tiago, now genuinely concerned for her safety, reluctantly began loading the weights. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to sign a waiver. And I'll stay right here for any emergency." As the weights were loaded, Dona Helena performed her stretches with precise, technical movements. She stretched her quads, mobilized her ankles, did hip rotations. Her movements were fluid and demonstrated biomechanical knowledge, but this went unnoticed by the observers.
Dude, sciesse gonna get seriously hurt, Joao whispered to Mateus.
We should film it to show the paramedics later. I'm already recording, Mateus replied, phone in hand. Gabriel crossed his arms and stood nearby, adopting a posture of someone about to witness an accident. All right, guys, how long until she quits?
I give 10 seconds.
Dona Helena positioned herself under the bar. She adjusted her grip, placed the bar on her upper traps, and checked her foot position. Her movements were meticulous, like someone who had done this thousands of times.
Maemme, are you sure?
Tiago asked one last time. She simply nodded and began to unrack the bar. What happened next left the entire gym in absolute shock. Dona Helena descended into a perfect, controlled squat, with impeccable technique. The descent was slow and precise, her knees aligned with her feet, her torso upright, her breathing controlled. She paused at the bottom of the movement and then ascended with an explosion of strength that made the weights on the bar vibrate.
1 repetition.
2, 3, 4, 5 repetitions of squats with 175 pounds, executed with a technical perfection that would make any personal trainer envious. The gym had gone completely silent. The only sound was Dona Helena's controlled breathing and the slight rattle of the bar being re-racked. Gabriel's mouth was open, literally. Mateus had stopped recording because his hands trembled in surprise. Joao just stood there, unable to process what he had seen. How? Tiago began to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. Dona Helena wiped the sweat from her forehead with a small towel and smiled gently. Can I increase it to 220 pounds now? 175 is just a warm-up. Warm-up? Gabriel repeated, still in shock.
Yes, my son.
My personal best squat is 308 pounds. But today I won't push too hard. I don't want to get injured. The information dropped like a bomb in the gym.
308 pound squat.
That was more than any of the strong guys in the gym could do. Mateus, still trying to process the situation, asked, Excuse me, ma'am, but how long have you been training? 52 years, she replied naturally, as Tiago added more weight to the bar. 52 years. Joao repeated. You started when? 16 years old. My father took me to a gym in Porto Alegre. I was very skinny. Everyone at school used to tease me. He said I needed to get strong inside and out. Gabriel, still processing the situation, asked hesitantly, And you, do you compete?
Dona Helena paused for a moment, a nostalgic smile crossing her face.
I did. For 30 years, I was a professional powerlifting athlete. The silence that followed was deafening. Powerlifting was a sport they only knew from YouTube videos, with athletes lifting impossible weights. I was the Brazilian powerlifting champion for 8 consecutive years. South American champion for 5 years. I competed in 3 world championships and was world runner-up in 1987. The words came naturally from her mouth, without boastfulness or arrogance. It was just a fact of her life, like saying she was a retired teacher or had 3 children. Tiago, now completely changed in his demeanor, asked respectfully, Dona Helena, why did you never mention this? No one asked, my son. And besides, people have their own ideas about what a 68-year-old lady can or can't do. Gabriel approached, clearly embarrassed.
Dona Helena,
I apologize for the comments. I didn't know.
No problem, dear. I understand.
When people see me, they see a common grandma. And that's okay. I am a common grandma, who happens to lift heavy weights. She smiled with that kindness that only people who have gone through many experiences can have. Mateus, who had put away his phone, asked, Dona Helena, do you still compete?
No, my son.
I stopped competing at 55. Today I train for pleasure and to maintain my health. But I still like to train seriously, with discipline. Joao, who had been quiet all this time, finally spoke, Dona Helena, could you give me some tips? I've been training for 2 years and have never been able to get past 200 pounds on the squat. Of course, dear. The secret isn't just in strength, it's in technique. Strength without technique is an injury waiting to happen. And so, Dona Helena spent the next hour giving tips to the very same young men who had scoffed at her entrance. She corrected Gabriel's bench press posture, taught Mateus how to breathe correctly during deadlifts, and helped João improve the depth of his squat. Tiago, completely transformed, formally apologized and offered her a discount on her monthly membership. Dona Helena, I'd like to invite you to teach some classes here at the gym. Many people could benefit from your experience. Thank you, my son, but I prefer to train at my own pace, in my own corner. But if anyone wants a tip or two, I'm always willing to help.
Trattino basso 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 tra. Dona Elena S. Lesson.
During the rest of her workout, Dona Helena completed her full set. Squats with 265 pounds, deadlifts with 286 pounds, bench press with 175 pounds. Each exercise was executed with a perfection that made other gym-goers stop to observe and learn. At the end of her workout, as she put her things away, Gabriel approached her again.
Dona Elena, can uno ask you something?
Did the comments from people ever bother you? Dona Helena paused, putting away her things, and looked at him kindly. You know, my son, throughout my life, people doubted me. When I started powerlifting, they said it wasn't a sport for women. When I continued competing after 40, they said I was too old. When I wanted to keep training after 60, they said I should stop. She closed her bag and continued, but I learned something important. People's opinions about your abilities say much more about their limitations than about yours. I never let anyone define what I can or cannot do. And how did you manage to ignore all that? I didn't ignore it, dear. I used it as fuel. Every time someone said I couldn't do it, I trained a little more. Every time they doubted me, I pushed myself a little further. Mateus, who was listening to the conversation, commented, "That's incredible, Dona Helena.
You're an inspiration." No, my son.
You are the inspiration, striving to improve. I just had more time to practice.
Trattino basso 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 tra. A lasting legacy.
When Dona Helena left the gym that day, she didn't just leave as an elderly woman who had surprised some young people. She left as a living reminder that our ability isn't defined by our appearance, our age, or the expectations of others. Gabriel, Mateus, and João never again made comments about anyone's appearance or age in the gym. Tiago completely changed his approach with older clients, always asking about their experiences before making any judgments.
And Dona Elena?
She continued to frequent the gym 3 times a week, always at the same time, always with the same kindness. The difference was that now, when she walked in, instead of laughter, she was met with respectful greetings and requests for tips. Because ultimately, true strength isn't in the muscles you can see, but in the character you build over a lifetime of overcoming challenges. And Dona Helena had built both.
Trattino basso 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 tra.
3 months after that memorable day, Gabriel approached Dona Helena during a workout.
Dona Elena, can uno confess something?
That day changed how I see people. I learned that we should never judge anyone by appearance. Dona Helena smiled, that gentle smile that became a trademark at the gym. And I learned something too, my son. What? That sometimes you need to show your strength to teach people that it was always there. Not to impress, but to inspire. And so, Dona Helena's story became a legend at the fitness center. A legend that reminded everyone to look beyond appearances, to respect experience, and never to underestimate the power of a determined person. Because strength has no age. Determination has no expiration date. And respect should be the first repetition of any workout in life.